There are plenty of games out there that I thought I really love and considered reviewing, but then I started playing them, and then I kind of realized that I didn't want to spend the time necessary to do a proper and fair review. Some of these games require countless hours to really dive into the systems and understand whether or not they're going to be great in the long term. But for me, I like a game to grab me right away and keep me coming back. And one example of that was Destiny. I didn't like it initially, but I kept thinking about it, and then eventually I went back. The games I'm talking about today just didn't do that for me. So anyway, hello, this is Robert with Society Case Files, and today I'll be talking about New World Aeternum, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and Overwatch 2. I don't think I've given these enough time to warrant a full-on review, but I thought I could offer some thoughts and impressions about them overall and just carry on with some rambling. So anyway, I'm going to jump right in. I played the New World demo before it came out and I really enjoyed it, but when I got into the real game, it kind of started to lack real fast. It became more apparent once I exhausted the story quests and started doing all the chores, one of which involved hunting a specific animal. An animal that either didn't exist or went into witness protection, because there were plenty of animals that looked just like what they asked for, but I couldn't find one with the personalized name. And considering I had to kill more than 5 of them, I think it was 10, that just became old real quick. And I did scour that place. I mean, no stone left unturned. Fast forward to this new release. They've got a whole bunch of stuff. Now you pick an archetype when you start playing, and that gives you your initial weapons, your look, and a little boost in some of the crafting skills. So the thing is that once you start playing, the combat's okay. Apparently, there's people who are complaining about it because it didn't feel actiony enough, and they thought it felt like just another MMO at that point. I didn't really get that impression myself, but you know, I didn't play it for 30 or 40 hours either. One of the things that just kind of annoyed me was that everybody looked the same who was part of the same archetype until you get to town, and then of course there should be a transmog station. Unfortunately, the transmogs cost a token, which you can buy for real money. I think they were around $10, and I know there are some ways to get them for free. I couldn't figure it out. I looked it up. It seemed that they were attached to a battle pass type of thing. But oddly enough, this game is charging $60 if you didn't already have it. So it seems a little predatory to charge just so you don't have to look like a clone. Destiny 2 did this as well, but at least you could get the tokens in that game by doing bounties for Ada. In this, I couldn't easily figure out how to do so within the game itself, which I don't know if that would have been a selling point or not. It was just one of many things that I found at least vaguely irritating. Some of the voice acting was pretty annoying. And while they did add a bunch of cutscenes and some more story elements to drag you into the game itself, they fell flat with me. But that's no criticism on the work they've done. They clearly want to make this work, but it does seem strange that they decided to have to do this so quickly. Of course, if you look at the Steam numbers, the all-time peak was 900,000 players, and that was way back when it came out in October of 2021. I didn't actually realize the game was that old. It sort of tapered heavily, and by March, it dropped down to 14,000 peak players, and then it was averaging just under 10,000 for a while. And now our new peak players is 49,000, but the average is around 8,500. So that's within the last 30 days and hasn't been out that long. So we'll see if these alterations really bring them back to a level that they want to be. For the price they're charging brand new players to come in, they might recoup some of their losses, but I just don't see it grabbing people for long term. And I could be very wrong. This could be a game that in 30 hours you fall in absolute love with it. But I personally prefer when the game grabs me much earlier on, like World of Warcraft did, or Valhalla, or any other game, period. Just really getting the hooks in you and pulling you back. It shouldn't feel like a chore to come back, and it shouldn't feel like you're just going to be hitting your head against a wall. So I'll keep an eye on it to see what people say about the upper levels of the game, just out of curiosity, and who knows, maybe it'll drag me back, but I kind of doubt it. All right, moving on to Assassin's Creed Mirage. I saw that it was on Steam, and they put the release date for just a couple days ago as of recording this video. I played it when it first came out, and I got decently far, but it was one of the few AC games that I just couldn't finish. It used to be that I'd take time off from work to get a good 8 to 10 hour session with Assassin's Creed. While I beat Valhalla, the days of being super excited are all but dead, especially now that Shadow got delayed. Mirage was interesting on a few levels. They went back toward Assassin's Creed 1 in a whole lot of ways, particularly with the upgrades. They got rid of the RP style gameplay, so you don't have those health bars over folks anymore. You don't have the gatekeeping for different locations that you couldn't even go to because you weren't high enough level. So in a lot of ways now we've got that action adventure style, and it simplified it a lot. But for me, it felt a little cheap, and that might be because the original intention for Mirage was to make an expansion for Valhalla. Then they expanded the scope and, got all the earmarks of the standard AC stuff. Really fleshed out the character. He's that rough and tumble guy with some snippy wit and turns into an assassin and finds some responsibility, blah, blah, blah. Very traditional. They didn't really have to do too much. They could have just re-released Assassin's Creed 1 and it wouldn't have seemed too different. But padding it out just made it feel like they just wanted more money. And I mean, obviously they did, and they got it, but at least they didn't charge full price for it. Right now on Steam, it's half off, $25, I think it is. So that's not too bad if you're really interested in it. A couple side notes. When I loaded it up today to get some footage and try it out again, I had to use borderless window mode to get it to play in 4K. Full screen defaulted to 2640 by 1440, and that was kind of lame. It's got mostly positive reviews on Steam right now, and most sites seem to like it well enough. So for my part, I can't remember what came out to interrupt my play last year, but whatever it was kept me busy enough that I didn't go back. Some of these games, it's actually pretty difficult to get back in the middle of wherever you left off because you've lost a lot of your skills, and I didn't really want to start it over, but there is that. I really loved Odyssey and Valhalla, and I put well over 100 hours into each of them. So I guess this one was just too much of a throwback after embracing the new style. Once I got over the RP elements in those, I really started to like them. So now that we've gone to this action adventure again, it fell flat, I guess. I'm pretty sure you could probably beat this in a month, so if you wanted to pick it up on Ubi Connect instead, you probably could. Otherwise, it is now on Steam. However, I should point out that you still have to use Ubi Connect to play the game, and that was one of the big complaints in the Steam reviews. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's move on to Overwatch 2. I revisited Overwatch 2 recently, and holy crap, that was an honest mistake. I played a lot of Overwatch back when it first came out, and we had a crew that put some time in just about every night. There was never a time that we couldn't be a part of a team on mics, kicking butt. It was great. It was super fun. We weren't awesome, but it was still a really good time. And the players weren't completely unhinged back then, the people we played against, and the occasion where we would have to do a quick play and get other people in. That has changed. Over the course of the time I played, I did start to see some pretty serious toxicity sort of creep into the experience, but I didn't notice at first because it was pretty gradual. And you can ignore the chat window when you're playing, and that helps keep you from, seeing some of the insane stuff people say on these. But when Overwatch 2 dropped, I hadn't played it in quite a while. So I tooled around and it was okay, but none of the people I played with went back, so I didn't carry on for too long. Fast forward to recently, I got siren songed with the promise of the Halloween event, and wow, that was just, like I said, it was a pretty big mistake. The first match I played, 2 people just rage quit, despite the fact that we were winning. They just went off about how the healer wasn't doing his job, and they called him all manner of terrible things that I hadn't seen since I played Call of Duty, and it was just, it was pretty incredible. So we won that match, and then we moved on to the next one. The next one, we had a bunch more people just rage quitting over and over again. And this time it was because we just weren't dominating. We weren't even doing that bad. So I'm not even entirely sure what people want other than maybe machine-like efficiency, which doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like, get some friends and play cooperative if that's what you want. Playing with randos or people who are casual in some cases. And maybe they're not the best at whatever they're doing, but they're trying, and maybe they're learning so that they can get into the competitive game mode eventually. And the game itself deserves some blame for people playing classes that maybe they're not as good at, because it does incentivize someone to play a support role to get experience and such. And if someone is not good at support and they need to learn, there's not really a good way to do that without just being berated or having people hop out of the team or whatever else. It's really crappy, honestly. And fortunately for me, I just happen to have a couple of good games with Diva. I'm sure I would have been trash talked too. There's another game that's really famous for toxicity, and that's Dead by Daylight. And the things that I've read about it kind of kept me away. But if you could turn off the chat, then maybe it'd be worth trying, because it can't be any worse than Overwatch 2. Of course, denying yourself the communication avenue in a cooperative FPS is probably toxic too. I mean, if you're not on a microphone, it's going to be really difficult to even talk about something like, hey, maybe we could use this character instead. I don't know. But I don't think you should have to develop thick skin to play a video game, particularly one with a talking ape and a bunch of giddy anime characters where the player base are basically a bunch of tryhards without any decency who will literally say anything regardless of how mean it is. So that's where I'm at with Overwatch 2, and I guess it's just kind of dead to me. Anyway, what did you think of the Assassin's Creed games? Did you try Mirage? What about the New World? Are you loving it? Hating it? Or let me know what your thoughts are on Overwatch 2. Maybe you don't think it's toxic, or maybe it's way worse than I know. Let me know in the comments below, and thanks very much for listening to this mild rant. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.